BLUELOCK's Neo Egoist League is about to end, and one of the biggest reveals has to be Isagi's newest weapon. Our main character has gone through his final evolution and awakened his new weapon for the finale of this match. Not only is it important for the ending of PXG, but with the U20 World Cup right around the corner, it's no doubt that this new weapon will be crucial for the rest of the series. So what exactly is this new weapon, how will it be used, and how strong is Isagi now with this new awakening? I'll be answering all of those questions about Isagi's newest unknown weapon as we head into BLUELOCK's World Cup arc. Alright, so Isagi's newest weapon is a new type of vision we haven't seen before in BLUELOCK. Straight away, you can tell it's a new type of vision since it doesn't look like any of the other eyes that we have seen throughout the series. This eye, although similar, is even different than Metavision, which has a design on the iris of the eye. Instead, Isagi's puzzles are on the white part of the eye, or the sclera. The puzzle pieces expand from the sclera and go into his face, creating this unique vision style. Also, Isagi turned Super Saiyan and has white hair. His whole character design changed. I don't know if this is Gear 5, but this new weapon is definitely important. Considering the fact that the PXG game is ending soon, this could be the weapon that decides it all, as well as being his final upgrade for the U20 World Cup. So what is this new weapon? Because at this point, we have gotten zero explanations for what it is. In order to figure out the weapon itself, we gotta find out why Isagi awakened in the first place. How did he get this new vision? It's important to know Isagi throughout the PXG game has had very high highs and very low lows. From scoring a goal at the start of the match, beating out both Rin and Kaiser, to not being able to do anything in the game and losing to both of his rivals. Isagi was going through the 5 stages of grief. It seems like what he was doing before all of a sudden isn't working anymore, and it wasn't until this new weapon that he got out of that slump. When we see him use it in the newest chapter, he was able to overcome Rin in Destroyer mode, something he previously wasn't able to do on multiple occasions. The weapon came after the realization by Isagi of both prodigies and geniuses, prodigies being talented learners and geniuses being instinctive learners. And specifically, when he found out Kaiser is a prodigy and not a genius, this led to his second realization of how Kaiser can keep up with these insane players. Both Kaiser and Rin alike started evolving in this match after they dropped their fixations on Isagi. Isagi confirms this in chapter 283 and knows that he needs to make changes as well. He's been so fixated on both Kaiser and Rin, especially because both of them were challenging him throughout the middle of the match. Focusing on Rin and Kaiser and not focusing on his own plays led to his downfall throughout the middle of the match and why all of a sudden he stopped being effective. And we actually predicted this way earlier in our Isagi Final Awakening video, but now it's confirmed in the most recent chapter, so we hit it on the bullseye, y'all. But after this realization, Isagi drops his rivalry with Rin and Kaiser, as well as his admiration for Noel, and then we finally see this new weapon pop up. Now that we know how he got it, this weapon is 100% a mental weapon. Sort of like Metavision, as it appears after his realization, it isn't something he can physically do better like the 2-gun volley or Destroyer mode, but instead it's like Metavision where he can process information differently and then act accordingly. What makes it different than Metavision though, and why it's so important, is that he's able to classify prodigies and geniuses, and because of that he finds out each player's true intentions. And that's the key to this weapon. By finding out each player's true intentions, he can create a counterplay for it. So knowing specifically what each player wants to do, this kind of sounds like egocentrism, but it's different because now Isagi is becoming that piece to bring out a player's true intentions, which is why we see this new vision. You'll see what I mean in a second. When Rin starts going on his rampage, he's destroying all of Bastard Munich easily again, even getting past the GOAT. Again, before Isagi wasn't able to stop Rin, even if he knew what Rin was going to do. But with his new weapon, it allows him to see Rin's true intention and become a part of that. He willingly became the rival or roadblock in front of him. Because of that, Isagi is able to take advantage of Rin's true intentions and put himself in a way to win against Rin, even if that means he's not the only one directly stopping him. You see, a lot of people overlook this. Remember that Isagi dropped his rivalry with Rin, and that's what made him evolve in the first place. Instead of focusing on quote-unquote beating Rin, he started thinking logically, focusing on the overall win, which is to stop destroyer mode. And we see that because Rin literally sidestepped to Isagi. He went after Isagi instead of going to this literal open space here, like nobody is there. Rin could have probably scored, but Isagi's newest weapon is all about identifying geniuses and prodigies, as well as their true intentions. In Rin's case, his true intention was to beat Isagi instead of scoring. Isagi knew both of that and the fact that Rin is a genius and took advantage of it. This is proven when Isagi says that Rin wants to obliterate him in order to win, and that Rin only wants Isagi. And like Isagi predicted or even scripted it at this point, Rin faces him head on and gets the shot off, but was jebaited by Isagi, who knew Rin was going to do that. So this awakened new weapon Isagi got led him to all the information, and he was able to stop Rin. But that's not all, because it's not just Rin he used it on. Nobody pointed this out as well, but Isagi actually used his weapon on Kaiser as well. Remember, he figured out that he was a talented learner rather than a genius. And since Isagi figured that out, he knew Kaiser had to think logically for the win, because he dropped his obsession with Isagi, just like how Isagi dropped his obsession with Kaiser. This is why the chemical reaction occurs, because they both are thinking the same. They want to logically win because they are both talented learners instead of geniuses. They're also both starting from zero, so Isagi predicted that Kaiser would come over and help block Rin's shot. And remember, if Isagi didn't use his weapon in the first place, Rin could have just went to the side and scored on his own. So by using that new weapon, he created a new opportunity to win. Even if that doesn't mean he himself directly wins, the overall objective is to stop destroyer mode. Remember earlier, Isagi willingly used himself as a pawn to win. He created a path he can control because he put himself in the plan for the win. There's a lot of times where Isagi was used as a pawn throughout BLUELOCK, but most of the time it wasn't by his own choice. One of the most popular and recent times was in Munchen, when his objective was to win against Kaiser. Isagi would have scored in Munchen if Kaiser didn't get in his way last second, but he used himself to give Yukimiya the goal and win against Kaiser because Kaiser didn't predict that Isagi would pass. This led to the whole clown of my story moment, but the main point is that he had no choice but to pass. His choice would have been score, but Kaiser got there instead. But with his new weapon, the difference is that he's allowing himself to become that pawn. He has more control, and that's why it's so overpowered. It's now all a part of his plan. He's writing the script, and that's what this newest weapon does. By understanding players' true intentions, as well as being able to make himself the rival to the player, he makes it so that he can predict the play, something he previously wasn't able to do. That's how talented learners like Isagi and Kaiser are able to fight against these gifted geniuses like Rin's Destroyer Mode and Loki's Godspeed. And I think this new weapon will be crucial for the U20 World Cup, because there is so much talent out there that we haven't seen, and Isagi will use this weapon to go against those new insane weapons and talents in the U20. And this is why I think it's one of the most important weapons. He makes himself the rival of the opponent and then manipulates them into a certain way of playing so he can pull out the overall win. This might just be peak cinema. I think the story will shift to more of how Isagi can make these geniuses obsessed with him so that he can beat them logically. Again, remember, there are still 8 other new Gen 11s we haven't seen and will probably get revealed in the U20 World Cup. So I'm expecting a lot of them will be geniuses with insane weapons like Rin and Loki, and probably new rivals Isagi and Japan will have to be. Now you see how almost all of the dots are connecting here. This weapon, if Isagi can pull it off, is genuinely crazy. It's already been able to stop Rin, who's literally the face of insane weapons. Destroyer mode is overpowered. Even though Isagi is not on the same level as Rin or Loki in terms of actual weapons and physical stats, he can be on the same level of them in terms of game playing, which is what matters the most. And that's why BLUELOCK has been pushing this narrative that the world doesn't revolve around just geniuses. I think this is what his newest weapon will be, especially because it ties into the whole genius and talented learner argument that PXG has been building up, and it will be super important for the upcoming World Cup. If you made it to the end though, thank you so much for watching. BLUELOCK is about to get insane with the ending of the NEL and the World Cup right around the corner, so I'll see y'all in the next one.